start looking over.
Welcome to another episode. My name is Dean Vassy. You can find me on X at #Kangas, Instagram #Kangaroos Podcast. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, an AFLW Premiership player, TikTok Tess Craven. Congratulations. She's laughing at that one. First off to you personally and to the team on breaking the Premiership window of 25 years since the club's last flag. How does it feel to be a Premiership player right now?
It's still pretty surreal. Obviously, it's been a little while now, but every now and then, just going about my business, and I sort of remember. Look, it's just been surreal is really just the word. It's been a crazy, obviously, month and a bit. Obviously, particularly straight after the win, just a lot happening. I'm hugely honoured to be part of that Premiership team for this great club, and hungry for more, but very, very, very proud to have achieved that.
No, definitely. And we may as well get straight into it. We'll talk about the game. Comprehensive win and pretty comfortable in the end. A little bit of a nervy start in the first 5 minutes, but once you nailed that goal, talking about you personally, 6 minutes into the first quarter, things seemed to settle pretty quickly and we controlled the rest of the game like we did pretty much all season. Is that how you've seen it?
It's hard to view it as control, I suppose. Maybe that's because we're kind of expecting anything. I think that's with Brisbane. They're a very good side, and they have been for the entirety of AFLW's existence. So I think we were fully prepared for them to come back at us, and which they did. Obviously, especially in the middle two quarters. It's lucky I think we probably got more scoreboard chances. So on the scoreboard, it definitely looked like we had more control than I think it felt like. At least that's for me anyway. And obviously it's going to be nervy at the start. It's a granny and it's a big occasion and there's so many people and everything like that. So I think we settled into it nicely and glad I could kick that goal, obviously. But obviously came from the work of, our girls really pushing and I think we settled in. I don't think any of us were really calm until the very, very end. But I think we were really well prepared for the season we'd had to, approach the game as a new quarter each quarter and not just sit on our laurels because we had a lead or anything like that. So, yeah.
No, it's a good summary. Now we'll get we'll obviously talk more about the game now. Early on in the game, and I spoke to you off air about this. I remember the Lions got one out the back, and we did see Davidson and a couple of Lions players with look like she was going to get an uncontested mark and get them off to a flyer. But Davidson drops a mark, and we squared the contest. I think Sarah Wright and Brisbane Head came in late to do really well, outnumbered to half it. I remember thinking at the time, this could be a day. What were your thoughts? And I'm not too sure where you were when you see that play going on. Did you think that she was going to get that goal and sort of get them off to a flyer, or you were just trying to track back?
Yeah, where was I? That was before our first goal, right? Was it?
Yeah. It was pretty much within the first 2-3 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I kind of have a sort of memory of being like, oh no, because we're all so focused on obviously the contest, and then to turn your head and you see, the position that Dakota got herself into, and I think she'd probably take that sort of mark 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, you'd expect. But I guess that's the occasion. It's a very high pressure environment, as I said before, and it's such a big occasion, obviously. So there's a lot of pressure on you. And I can speak to that. I think early on I handballed it and completely missed Libby. And I think I got the Lions. I unintentionally rushed the Lions first score because I just missed a simple handball. So it's just, it's things like that. And, we were talking about this before. I think it's sometimes you just need a bit of luck in footy. And we've obviously had some bad luck in terms of Jenna last year and, close losses here and there. So it's always nice when one of those things goes your way. And I guess it was just sort of our day, I guess, in that sort of respect. But No,
pretty well summed up. And I thought you might have almost deliberately handballed it through for a point. So first time I've ever seen you miss a target, to be honest with you. And we'll talk about that. Because outside of that, they got nothing for the rest of the game. They only kicked one goal for a dubious downfield. Now, we'll go to your play. Now, Jasmine Garner gets one out of the contest. And I think she sees you and you get an uncontested mark 30 metres out. How confident were you going back to kick that one?
I think initially I was quite surprised that I'd sort of ended up in this position because, as a winger, we don't kick a lot of goals, at least in our team. Like, I think maybe other teams probably have a different approach with their offense. But yeah, so it's not common that you find yourself in that position as a winger. And so it kind of just fell in my lap. I'm not sure if Jamin saw me or not, but we'll say she did for the story.
Well, it's Jasmine Garner, so I'm going to say she did.
Even her accidents seem to go just...
Yeah, well, that's right.
And then, going back, I think honestly in my head, I didn't think I was going to miss it. I think I just remember thinking actually very vividly, I was just thinking like, you've kicked 100 of these in your life, if not more, of this exact shot, whether it be back when I was younger, kicking with my dad, or whether it be, training with the girls. Like I've practiced this shot so many times and, I don't want to miss it. This is the occasion. We really need this. And I think I just settled in and got into my routine and went through, which I was very pleased with and good to get off on a good note. And I guess that just shows you just gotta keep running and hopefully turn up in the right spot, and it might fall in your lap and you might get to kick the first goal of the grand final. So I was very, very happy I could convert.
Just on that, like playing the wing is a lot of unrewarded running, isn't it? Like you sort of get yourself into space, but you almost seem to get bypassed a lot, and then you have to track back. You have to be very fit to play on the wing. It's actually good that you're able to get one like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's part of the role. I mean, it's part of a lot of roles, I guess. Like you see a lot of the forwards especially do a lot of running, and they don't, they're not always the one that kicks the goal, and same with defenders and things like that. So it's kind of just, at this level, there's a lot of unrewarded running. But yeah, I mean, it was really, very pleasing to get that sort of opportunity. But I think, in each final, actually, each of us wingers probably had a moment where that running actually did really pay off. I think Smitty in the qualifying final, she pressed down really hard and got that goal that we really, really needed. And then Gaddy got a couple where she was just her work rate that got her there in the prelim, and then I got one in the granny. So yeah, very, very, very pleasing.
Now, we might as well talk about the kick. You absolutely drilled it and couldn't have kicked it more straight through the middle. Just on that, your field kicking has come along beautifully. Have you been working hard on that, or has it just come naturally? Because I haven't seen you miss a target for a long time.
I think my strength coming into the AFLW as, a 17-year-old, it was always skills. So kicking and marking and stuff like that. And I think the biggest thing for me has just been trying to work on my composure. So I think just realizing that oftentimes I actually do have a lot more time than I think. I'm not as under pressure as it might feel, because obviously there's a lot of perceived pressure when you go from the lower levels to AFL. And so I think, I've tried to work really hard on actually backing myself in and, trying to get the ball in my hands a bit more so that I can then use that kick. And I think there have been times during the season where maybe I wasn't at my most composed, and I've been speaking to the coaches about that. And so I'm glad like it could all come together on such an important day. Because I think it all just came to like backing myself again, which is obviously easier said than done. But obviously something I'm working on continuously, because it's never fully at its peak. But it's something I really hope to continue to work on so that I can use my skills for the betterment of the team.
Just on what we all have that little voice in our head that gives us a bit of self-doubt, and you talked about pressure coming from juniors to AFLW, and there is a lot of pressure, especially playing in finals, grand finals. Is there anything you work on in particular mentally to help yourself through that? Do you do maybe meditation? Like that seems to be the common thing these days.
Meditation just never clicked with me. Meditation and mindfulness, I think if it can work for you, obviously that's your thing. But I think I do a gratitude journal. So nice. Every night you have to do a sort of reflection of your day and name 3 things you're grateful for. And did you sleep well? Did you eat well? Did you exercise? Like just the basic things. And I think that works for me because I can get bogged down in negativity and think there's no way out of it, I suppose, or think, not the world collapsing in on me, but sort of that sort of feeling of just there's like a lot of, I think I probably put more pressure on myself than it, is actually there. So the gratitude journal, I guess, is just looking for a positivity sort of thing about your day, and it can relieve that stress of, say, I've had a bad day at training or something, but, I made a really nice dinner. You can sit back and be grateful for the thing that you have. And then I find that it resets me for the next day so that I can then, approach a game or approach a training with a really positive outlook on myself and on what I want to achieve. So that was a big one. I really focused on that this year. But then I guess I think a big part of relieving the pressure, especially in the team sport, it's you can lean on each other, and it is supposed to be fun. And I think that's really good for us. I think we have a lot of fun, and we really enjoy being around each other and enjoy training and pushing each other. And then when we get to games, like that's what you train for, those sort of moments. So I mean, the term pressure is a privilege, I think is very, very apt here, because yes, we were under a lot of pressure, and yes, you can feel under pressure a lot at times, but that's because you're in such, an incredible position. Like, we could have felt pressure to be the first, AFLW Premiership team for North Melbourne, but that's an absolute privilege to represent the club in that way. So, yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go about it, but those are the ones that just work the best for me.
No, everyone's different like that, and yes, some people like to jot things down. Like you do. Obviously, some people do meditations for 10, 20, 30 minutes and so forth, but it is important. And I don't think you're the only one that thinks we're our own biggest critic. I think a lot of people are like that. The biggest voices you'll hear is inside your own head. But thanks for sharing that too, Tess. It's not great. Like, it is good to hear, but everyone's got their own journey and their own thought patterns, I guess, and that's 90% of it at the end of the day most of the time. But we'll get back to the grand final now. In the first half, we've seen your captain, Emma Carney, turn back the clock almost 10 years and was probably best on ground in the first half. Did she say much through the week and before the game about how, as a group, you approached the granny? Because she looked really focused and on a mission.
I think that's the thing. Like, maybe, I think she spoke about this in a presser leading up to the granny, but last year, I think we were kind of overawed with the occasion in a way. Like, I feel like she said we were riding on momentum, which was true. We did two upset wins against Melbourne and then against the Crows to get to the granny. And by the time we got there, I think we just, like, that was a really big achievement in itself, just making it. But I think for us, it was an expectation to not only get there again, but to go one better. And she really led that. Obviously, she had a really tough season in terms of injury for her, and she said herself she hasn't missed that lengthy time of football ever in her career. And so I think by the time she realised she was back and she fully back, was fully cleared, was going to be playing in the granny, I think she just looked like she was having fun, and she kind of went about it that way the whole week. Like, it was really fun and exciting, and it wasn't at all like, fear of losing. It was just like the want to win. And just in watching her, it like, obviously I know her pretty well and I really look up to her. It looked like she was just having fun. And I think that, like, she was just doing what she does best and backing herself in 100%. And it was just so cool to watch, because obviously we've been without her for quite some time in terms of, at her best on the footy field. And it was just, it was so exciting to watch, especially as a young player. Like, just watching her sell candy, like, I loved it. I was so there for it. It was so cool. And I'm really, really pleased for her that she got to do that on the big stage. No one deserves it more.
No, definitely. And she definitely led from the front. So she's a big fan of the 3 games in 8 days, is she?
No comment on that one.
No, I can only imagine what was said, but we'll move on. Now, second half, and I just mentioned Emma Carney, but Jasmine Garner with 22 touches in the second half. I mean, we can talk about her for the next hour, but how good was she, and how good is it being on the same football field with her?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't know she had that many. I don't think she knew she had as many as she did at the end of the day. But, I mean, we're probably a bit lucky in that, or it's just kind of what Jamin does. Like, we're kind of used to it in a way now. She just kind of does that week in, week out, has 35 and a goal, and that's just a Jamin performance. And I think perhaps we can not underappreciate her, but it's kind of just an expectation for her. And so I'm not at all surprised that on the grand final day she pulled out exactly what she has always done. The only thing missing for her is probably a goal, and then it was a signature Jamin game. So, yeah, to be her teammate, like she goes about it in such a pleasing way. She's never big-headed. It's never about her. It's about the team, and it's about how she can make the team better. And I think that's really inspiring for us young players. Like, she is arguably one of the best players in the league, if not the best, and has been for the past 3-4 years now. And still, she, doesn't act like she's bigger than any one of us. And that just speaks to Jamin. She's a great person first and foremost. And yeah, her football ability, I just think, God, I really just enjoy watching her. Like, she's one of those people, like, you kick it to her and something's going to happen, and she's going to make the right decision. And yeah, we're very, very lucky to have her. And yeah.
No, there's not much more we can really say about her. But every time we praise her, she seems to take herself to the next level. Just on her, it doesn't, like, she does get a lot of praise now from the media, not so much from the umpires, clearly. But do you think that it doesn't seem like it? I did say that. It doesn't seem like it sits too well with her. It doesn't seem like she's comfortable. Like you said, I think she's always deflecting to more of the team. Like, she doesn't want to talk about herself and how good she is, even though we all see it. But do you think that's something you notice with her, that she doesn't really sit comfortable with all the praise she gets?
Yeah,
I'm sure she appreciates it, but
yeah, she doesn't like the attention on her.
No.
Very much. She's a bit shy and a bit awkward, bless her. So I think it makes her a bit awkward when she gets all the praise she does. But I mean, how can you not? If you're going to play that sort of footy, you're going to get that sort of praise. But yeah, no, she was. I mean, like, I know this is probably a common thing, but even though she won the best on ground medal, she put it away almost instantly and just had the ones we all had. And I think that just wraps her up completely. Like, that's Jamin to a T. And even I think she won our best and fairest as well, and instead she put the premiership medal on because that's what matters to her. And yeah, so she's absolutely not a big-headed person, and is definitely team first, which is really inspiring as one of our leaders.
No, definitely no ego there. And hearing that doesn't surprise me, to be honest with you. So just even chatting to her a couple of times. We'll get back to the game now. We get a goal early in the last quarter through Vicky Wall, and it looked like it was probably over. Well, in the stands, it looked like it was over. You probably not so much. But out on the field, and when did you think in your head, we got this, we've got him now?
So when Alice got her free kick to kick the last goal, I was coming off because of my last rotation, and as I kind of stalled coming off to see if she kicked it, and she kicked it. And as I swapped, I don't know who I came on for, but whoever I came on for, we kind of hugged and celebrated. And I think I looked at the clock, like, we have the clock obviously on the bench, how long's left, and we saw that and kind of started looking around, and people were hugging, and it was kind of started to click, like,
sink in.
Oh, yeah. Wow, yeah, this is actually going to happen for us. And then, I guess I also saw, like, we had family access passes that if we were to win, the people who we could bring on the ground, and they got handed to our manager or something, or operations manager or something. And I was like, like, all the formalities were sort of getting in place, like how they do the colours on the cup and all that sort of thing. And I guess it kind of sunk in, started hugging everyone around me, and then Croc came down and he was hugging everyone, and it was like, sort of like, oh no, this is for sure now. And I think probably the last 2-3 minutes, I just kind of looked around and looked at all the crowd, which was, I mean, very lucky to be like 95-96% North Melbourne, and hearing the Kanga chant go around, and yeah, just really soaking in those last couple of minutes, because it was obviously going to be chaos as soon as the siren went. So yeah, I think, and to sit in that realization, like, sometimes games can be quite close. You're not going to win. You don't know if you're going to win for the last 30 seconds, last 10 seconds sometimes. So it's really a privilege that we got to sit there for the last 2 minutes and look around and soak it in. And yeah, then the siren went and all hell broke loose.
I think it was Amy Smith you came on for towards.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. Don't quote me. It might have been her because I did see it on the replay, which I watched about 5 or 6 times now. But what did you do? I can't remember what you did straight after you hear the siren.
I ran. So there's all this nervous there's all this nervous energy.
Yeah.
Like you just want to run. You see all your teammates, and then the siren goes, and we all just sprinted. And I think I ran. I think Gaddy and Mia were hugging, and I ran, gave them a hug, and then we went to the big team circle, and yeah, then just sort of, and then our unselected girls came on, and we got to give them all big hugs, and yeah, it was just and all our staff and everything. And I think after, like, I saw one of the staff members who I'm probably particularly close with, and that, like, I've known her for quite some time, and since I've been drafted, and I saw her and I started like tearing up. I was like, oh my God, like this is real. Like, yeah. So it was just a lot of emotions. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to sum up like how you feel at that time. It's like taking a drug, really, and you get that high. You can't explain it. And how good is that first hour after the siren? Just the celebration, everything going around each player, coaches, obviously, close personal friends as well. It's a pretty special feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the next hour we had our medal thing. It took the poor staff so long to get us into the spot next to the stage because we were just running around everywhere like. It was like herding sheep, but eventually got there and obviously got our medals and got to do and then walking around with the cup, like that was just incredible. Like I'm a big AFL fan. I have been my entire life. So I've watched a lot of those, on the last day in September, I've watched so many of those sort of things, but teams walking around with the cup and to get to do that and see all the supporters, like credit to the North fans. They really, really turned out for us. And yeah, it was awesome to see each and every one of them, and I just remember being like, "Thank you guys, thank you so much for coming. Can't do this without you guys." Like, it was just such a moment. I can't really pinpoint everything because it's just a bit of a blur. I kind of wish I was more present, probably when it was happening, but yeah, it was just an absolute blur of excitement and emotions, and yeah.
Well, maybe next year when we win it again, you can sort of take it more in. Look, it's hard because a lot of things are going on at the time. So you can't remember every little thing. Also, I can't remember seeing you, but did you get? I'm going to say you did the Premiership ink.
I did. Yeah, it's on my ribs. Yeah, I got a little kangaroo. Yep.
All right. So just leave a bit of space for a couple more.
I don't mind a tattoo, as you could probably tell.
No, nothing wrong with that. The actual tattoos do suit you, so it's good. Now, did you feel any extra pressure, or did you feel any? Now we touched on this before. Did the group feel any extra pressure knowing you went into finals undefeated, and a few media people, and I won't mention their names, tip the lines, or you were just, as the young ones say, chill about it all?
Chill about it. I just don't think it was part of our thought process ever during the year. I think that's a credit to Croc in when he spoke to us, and probably the whole coaching staff. We never really spoke about the undefeated or not nature of it. I think we kind of spoke about just we have our own KPIs that we need to hit to know that we played a good game in our minds, because sometimes you can win a game, not play your best football. So we were just very much concentrated on playing our best football, regardless of the result. And obviously, that's a very kind of a privileged sort of thing to say because we won the game. So you can look back and say we're just trying to play our best footy. But that's honestly what we did, and we never really mentioned the undefeated thing ever. I don't think it ever really crossed our mind because of that. So there was no additional pressure put on us by any of the coaching staff or even ourselves. We just didn't mention the undefeated thing. We'd had our clear goal was finals, and then once we got to finals, it was the grand final, and it didn't really, we never really broached the undefeated thing. So I don't think there was any pressure. I guess we were chill about it, but it was more not because of a conscious effort to be chill. I think we just didn't even consider it, I suppose.
And like you sort of mentioned before, it makes a big difference if you come to work and you enjoy the people around you and you enjoy the football and you're in a relaxed environment, not stressing or putting too much pressure on all yourselves to get a result or anything like that. Sort of trying to be, I guess, just get those little wins, which will end up with the big wins, which is pretty much what happened. Just on the season as a whole, it couldn't have gone much better, could it? Like, not really many injuries. I think we got Georgia Stubbs early in the year. Elisa O'Loughlin missed a game through suspension. But other than that, everything went pretty well, didn't it, according to the script?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had, obviously with Stubbs' injury, we had 30 out of 31 available for the grand final. So, that's that's an absolute shout out to our high performance and medical staff. They look after us very well and make sure we're, ready and available. It's kind of went without a hitch. I suppose the only hitch would have been that Geelong game, but I think that was really important for us in terms of, good learnings to take into, new games. And I think we were probably lucky to escape that game with a draw, but we got a draw and some learnings. So, I think that held us in really good stead. And then, obviously sometimes you just need a bit of luck, and that obviously happened for us as well. I don't think if I was sitting here this time last year, I don't think I could have planned a better season. Yeah.
No, definitely not. I mean, just go back to that Geelong. Now, first round, we had a comprehensive win against last year's premiership winners, Brisbane. And then we almost got a little bit of a reality check that we went away from the things that worked so well from us in round one. Was that the message for after that? That, look, if we go away from the things that we don't do well, we just drop back to the pack. But if we do the things that we're really good at, no one can stop us. Because from that point on, after round two, not many teams got really close to us, did they?
Yeah, I think it was more just a reflection, probably two things I think came out of that. This is what happens when we go away from our football and our game, which we all know inside and out. And sometimes, you feel like you have to do more than the team thing, or sometimes you got to do something extraordinary instead of just what's reliable. So it was just sort of, you don't need to go outside yourself. You just need to play the North Melbourne way. And then also that it takes a lot of mistakes from us for a team to, score against us or to play well against us. It takes us making a lot of mistakes, which I think in a weird way kind of gave us a sense of not what's the word? Like a sense of confidence in a way that a lot has to go wrong for us to not play well. If we're fully and honestly trying to play to our game plan, a lot has to go wrong for it to not, come out as we intend. So, I think it was an important game. Lucky we didn't lose, obviously. And, again, very, very important. Just have learnings for the rest of the season. It's good that it happened in round two as well. Gave us the rest of the season to really, work on those things.
With Geelong, were you surprised they didn't play finals? Because they seem to do pretty well against the top teams. I think they beat Brisbane. They're pretty close against Adelaide in the last round. I'm not too sure what happened in the middle. They lost to Carlton. I think it was straight after us, which is I didn't think that was possible, really. But, I was a bit surprised they weren't in finals. Were you the same?
Yeah, I was surprised. Oh, my God. Hang on. Sorry, 2 seconds.
No, that's all right.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. No problems at all.
What were we saying? The Geelong. Oh, that is an odd one.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure, honestly. From an outsider looking in, I think I really rate them. I think they're a very strong team. But I guess some of the results really speak for themselves. To lose against, not the lower teams of the competition. So. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I fully expect a very hard game whenever we play against them. And I think our record really shows that, actually. I don't think, we tend to beat a lot of teams quite convincingly, but it's never really Geelong. I think they always really challenge us. So, who knows?
Well, no, they seem to match up pretty well against us, that's for sure. So, it worked out pretty well. I'm happy to avoid them. So, because they definitely challenge us in round two. Just on a personal level, you must have been happy with your season overall. You had a few roles to fill this year, across half-back and on the wing. Is that something you expect next season as well? Or do you see yourself maybe having a couple of centre bounce attendances next year as well?
Centre bounce. Gee, wouldn't have thought. Given our
Really?
midfield, I find that unlikely that I'll ever be in a centre bounce. Maybe on the side as a winger would probably be the most likely. For now, I think wing is probably my spot, but obviously halfback, I have trained a bit there and obviously played a bit there now. And so should there ever be an injury or the team needs me or Croc thinks it's best, I'm more than happy to go there because it's not that dissimilar from the wing. But I think I feel quite at home at the wing now, and I think I've worked really hard to have the running capacity to, be able to fill that position. So I do like the wing a lot, but obviously happy to go wherever the team needs me. Although I doubt that'll be at the centre bounce.
Oh, you never know. You might get one or two. I mean, obviously you're not going to get 10 or 15 or 20 of them, but you might get a couple here and there. I mean, you played your junior football in the midfield, didn't you? Right in the guts.
Yeah, but I suppose everyone kind of does at that level. Once Bella Eddie used to play in the middle back in the junior days, so it's kind of the thing. You a lot of people are drafted as a midfielder, and then you fit into the system elsewhere. At least in the girls' competitions, anyway.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, did you enjoy filling in for Emma Carney there for a period of time, playing off halfback, creating a bit of drive?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm no Emma Carney, that's for sure. And I think that was clear as day in the grand final that we missed her a fair bit. But, yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to see the game from different positions. I think we're really big on each line having an understanding of each other and knowing what we need from each other because obviously we play a team defense and a team offense, so you can't really work in isolation. So yeah, I mean, I think it gave me a bit of a point of view of what I as a winger can do better to help the defense. And yeah, I think there's obviously, like I said, we play a team defense, so you really got to be switched on at all times. And yeah, I think that was really useful for me just in my general football development as a player. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I think I was more than happy to give it back to her when the time came.
No, look, you're fielding pretty well, so it might be a role for you next year as well, because with that lethal right foot giving us some metres gained. And now, we seem to have only gotten stronger in the off-season with the recruitment of Isla Sheeran from Richmond. Are you looking forward to playing with her next season, especially after success of getting Libby Birch from the D's this year?
Yeah, gee, I couldn't quite believe the news when it came out. I
don't
know how we managed to do that, but not mad about it.
No.
Yeah, I think that's just incredible for us, honestly. I'm really, really pleased we have her. Obviously, she's a quality player and has been ever since she's come into the competition. I think she's had, at Richmond, I think she's had, two or three second place finishes in their best on ground and 2 All-Australians. So you'd be crazy not to be happy about that coming into our team, and I just can't wait to see what she'll add. She looks really strong, really fast, really fit. So, yeah, I think I can't wait to see what she'll do for us.
Well, she's only come second because they've got Mon Conti, so she's clearly been the second best player in their team. So, it's a handy little recruit, that's for sure. Now, I want to talk about the Bulldogs came in for some criticism for being too defensive against the Bombers in round 6 or something like that. The next week, the Bombers have done it 10 times worse against us, pretty much parked the bus to minimise the damage. To me, I see teams in the stands and they look intimidated playing against North. Do you notice that out on the field this year or in the last couple of years?
I mean, maybe a little bit. But I think obviously that's a bit of a privilege from our end is that we've played well enough that there's a sense of intimidation, and I think it'd be silly for any team to not be pleased with that. I think, that's something that Brisbane and Adelaide have probably, and even Melbourne to some degree when they had their time, I think that's something you really thrive off. But yeah, I think probably against Essendon, I did notice it because I was playing in the back line and they kind of didn't really care too much about scoring. It was more stopping us. And again, I suppose that's a privilege to us and it's really shows we must be doing something right. But I think to some degree, you don't mind being intimidating to other teams. We want to be the strongest team, obviously, and we hold ourselves to really high standards. So, yeah, I mean, it's up to obviously defensive tactics. It's up to teams to do whatever they want to do, but I'm confident whatever they throw at us, we'll be able to, hit back.
No, they're exactly right. And I did. That was very distinct, that game, because I was at that game. It looked like you were having a social chat with Jasmine Ferguson and Sarah Wright there for a period of time because not much was going on. Look, I think teams, when they look at the fixture, they don't want to play us during the course of the year, and they'll be happy to avoid us next year. Now, Tess, I know you've come into some social media comments that aren't so nice. I've had my fair share since I started this pod, but I'm old enough and ugly enough that it doesn't even worry me in the slightest. But I've seen the comments that they have said about you. Does that sort of thing bother you? Also, how do you shut out the noise? Because it is an attack on you personally as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of something that I've had to deal with most of my life. I've always sort of presented in a masculine way, and I think it's just something I've sort of learnt to cope with, I suppose. Like, and it, that's not to say it really doesn't affect me sometimes. Of course it does, but everyone has days where things affect them more than others, and I think it just comes down to I am very proud of how I look. I'm confident in how I look. I'm presenting exactly how it feels right to me. And I pity those people who need to make that sort of comment, because I think it's really malicious because, I'm playing in the AFLW, I'm not a man. You're just trying to, tease me and have a go at me, but that's perfectly fine if you want to. I can't stop them. But I think probably in the grand final, I put some comments on my story after the grand final, sorry, just because I just be like, I'm actually having probably the greatest day of my life. And if you want to try and take me down, then you're going to have to do it in front of all the people that back me and support me. Cause I just wasn't really having it that day. But yeah, unfortunately it's a part of the aspect of women's football. Sometimes there's some nasty comments, and a lot of the time it's not actually just about the football for some reason. Mm-hmm. That's the world we live in. But I think, as we progress and as it becomes more normalized to have the AFLW a part of our society and have women playing sports in general, I think those comments will slowly subside. But there's always going to be idiots, and sometimes you just have to treat them like that, idiots. So they're not to be paid, you're not to pay attention to them or listen to them.
No, it is hard. Usually people that make stupid comments like that have their own insecurities in the world and aren't happy within themselves. Hopefully they grow up and mature. Most of the time they don't. And replying to them only gives them fuel in their very ordinary lives. And you're right, footy's doing all the talking at the moment anyway. So, yeah, we'll move on from that. What do you think of the women's game at the moment? Comes in with mixed responses, and I don't think the AFL are investing in it to grow up personally, but we don't want to go down that rabbit hole just yet because I'll be here for 4 hours. Do you see the great game as far as talent goes growing a lot at the moment?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I think we're getting to the generations now where girls are being drafted who played football their whole lives, because there's like our draftee Claire Marnie, she was 11 or something when AFLW started, so she had a real clear level of progression. She had a clear pathway to get to a professional sport, and I think that's probably something that the AFLW lacked in its beginning years. We had to, a lot of athletes came from other sports, which was key in building the fundamentals of the AFLW and the foundations. But I think now we're starting to see girls who have been footy players their whole lives come into the system, and I think that's only going to, improve the standard of the competition even more. But then again, saying that, we've still got girls like Jasmine Garner and Emma Carney and stuff who are just only getting better despite, being at the other end of their careers than what I am. So, yeah, I truly think it's never been better, and I think it's only going to get better as exposure increases, obviously. But as, we're going to play another game next year, so the season's getting a bit longer, and I think the night grand final was really good in terms of exposure and making it a real spectacle. It certainly felt that way. So yeah, I personally think the competition's never been better. Maybe that's because I'm biased and I'm a part of it, but that's honestly how I feel about it, for sure.
No, I agree. No, I 100% agree. Just on the night grand final, are you a big fan of it?
Well, yeah, I was a bit hesitant in terms of from a player's point of view. I thought maybe it would be, like having to wait all day to play is, not ideal. But I also think it really built an occasion. Like it allowed the whole day you could build anticipation for what was coming. And yeah, I honestly loved it. I was probably won over. I wasn't too sure about it, and then played it, and yeah, absolutely loved it. I do feel for like young families and stuff, because I feel like it makes it harder for them to go, like kids, especially younger kids, to go and stuff like that. But then again, I also think it invites more people to watch on telly as well. So yeah, I'm fully won over. I really liked it. It was good fun.
No, I think kids could stay up a little bit later. I know my 13-year-old, I go to sleep and wake up and she still hasn't gone to sleep yet at the moment. She's on school holidays. So, yeah, they can generally stay up pretty a lot later these days. So I think it's good things. The only issue I found, because waiting all day for the game, is that something that was hard? Like you just sort of just sit, I just want to get this game started. Like I'm just sitting here all day, just building up the nerves and so forth.
Yeah, I was losing my marbles a little bit. I was okay for the first half of the day, I'd say, until about 12 or 1, and then
Yeah.
it was still like we couldn't be at the game till 5 or 5:15 or something, and I got to 1 and I was like, there's just too many hours. Like I just couldn't sit still, and it was raining quite a lot, so it's not like I could go for a walk or anything.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think that's an RFI for me. I need to learn how to handle myself before night games. Um, but yeah, obviously that's one thing. But I think maybe it opens up avenues to have something before it, like make it a big festival for footy and then have the grand final at the end or something like that. So yeah, I think as I get more used to it, it won't be such a problem. But that was definitely something that got to me was the waiting.
Yeah, maybe it's a couple of hours earlier would have been nice, like 5:30 or something like that, like a bit of a twilight game. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
I suppose maybe with the time of year, the
Hmm.
daylight savings, I think that time slot's
Yeah, true.
just as the sun's setting. Um, yeah,
Yeah, true.
so I did like it. I did like it in the end when I got there finally.
Yeah, because it was raining that morning, pretty much all morning. It looked like it was going to be a wet grand final. It just cleared up around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Were you happy that the conditions cleared up?
Of course, I mean, from a just from a obviously playing point of view, I mean, we played in a lot of rain, so it didn't bother me in terms of like playing. But I think maybe I was more thinking about like people coming. Like I feel like it's such a big occasion, and it would be a shame to see it rained out because that's obviously going to be less people coming. And really, obviously, the weather just became absolutely perfect the
Yeah.
second we got to the ground. Pretty much, it was like the footy gods. They listened to us. Yeah. So, but also in saying that, I think better footy can obviously be played in drier conditions. So I'm very glad that it was dry because I thought we could play the best footy we could play.
No, we had a lot of indifferent conditions, particularly in the first half of the year. That game against the Port Adelaide in that third quarter was
Oh,
hailing.
don't even.
I've never seen.
Don't even.
I've never been at a football ground where I thought I was going to get frostbite, and I wasn't even out on a football field.
Yeah, I
But
thought
yeah,
I was too.
yeah, I think you were on the bench for a little bit, so I think you were quite you look quite comfortable
Really.
there. But yeah, Claire Cosy has come in with a question. You've won a flag and went undefeated. How do you new goals to challenge? So what new goals are you going to set yourselves to challenge a group and back to back question mark as well?
Well, I mean, obviously, we want to get there again, I suppose,
Yeah.
and that's. I think I spoke about it briefly before, and that like we know what that feeling feels like now. So it would be silly not to try and get there again. And I think with we've maintained all of our playing list plus Sheeran, so I think it's even more exciting now. Like we've seen what we can do, and I still think there's areas in which we can improve, both me personally and as a team. I think it's actually just so exciting, and I don't think I've ever been so motivated personally to get back into preseason. Like I'm keen to get there again, keen to start training, and get fit and get ready for the season again because it's so exciting. Like um, so yeah, I think for me, I think that hunger is it's never been higher.
No, that's really good to hear because like I remember when North won the flag in the '90s. I remember a couple of players said after the '96 flag in 1997 they weren't as hungry, and it sort of led to probably poor performances, poor form. So it's good to hear that you still got that passion to not only improve yourself but to get back to where we generally want to be. So, what's the plans for the off season? It's a long off season test, probably next 6 months. Any plans for yourself personally?
Not really. I think it's probably a good time now to just have a bit of a break and enjoy the fun things in life. Go out with friends and have a drink and spend all day at the beach and stay out late and things like that. Because when you're in season, like you got to dial everything so it's perfect.
Yeah.
So it's bed early. It's eating very well. It's, lots of recovery and everything like that. And obviously there will still be lots of recovery and lots of eating well and lots of sleeping well, but it's just a bit more of a fun time. And I think for me personally, I want to see my family a lot. They moved to a new house recently, over the footy season, and I haven't been able to see them because of the season. So I look forward to spending a lot of time with them, and just spending time with my loved ones. I'll go back to uni when that starts, go back to full-time uni, and then before we know it, we'll be back there. It's not that far away really till pre-season. So just fill time.
Yeah. No, well, it's around May, June. You sort of start the pre-season. Is that?
Yeah, it's May this year. Yeah, middle of May.
Yeah, nice. So, good to get a few months off there. Claire has come in. I think hashtag 5 flags in a row would be good for the Tess Craven legacy. I think that would be good for everyone, to be honest with you. So, we'll
not just
see
I think we'd all be very happy with that.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, we'll be jumping up and down. Well, Tess, I've kept you here long enough. I really appreciate you coming on. I know it's that time of year where people are away and doing their own thing. So I appreciate you taking time today and sharing your experiences from grand final day, from all North supporters, not just myself, but you've brought a lot of joy to us. And, hopefully we can go back there next year. But I might try and get you back in the peak of pre-season and, see how it's all going then.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Dean. It's been great.
I hope all your listeners enjoyed Tess Craven. Leave a comment on YouTube, subscribe, like the pod. Follow Tess on socials. Where can they follow you on socials? Particularly on TikTok.
Nah, no TikTok for you.
No, not going to shout it out.
Instagram's fine. You can go to
okay, what's the just Tess Craven?
I think it's
fine.
just Tess Craven, yeah.
Yeah, all right, sounds good. She's gotten a bit shy there, so so make sure to follow Tess on there. That's it from me. Bye for now, and go Roos. No, thanks for coming on, mate. You got any plans for the rest of the night? Who was that